Hello, welcome to the Morning Serve. I'm Nick McArdle. Casey Dellacqua is here. Today, we are previewing the men's semi-finals. And for the first time since 2013, the 4 top seeds have made it all the way through to the last 4. Let's begin with Novak Djokovic and Jannik Sinner. Case. I mean, it's a fascinating matchup. There's so much recent history between these two. How much of a break, though, for Novak is too much? He gets the walkover and then he gets into the semis due to the retirement.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And I think it's so rare and really not common to get a walkover. I can maybe name a couple of times where it's happened in my career, but it's very rare, particularly at the latter stage of a major.
Yeah.
So it does pen the question, and I think Wally asked it in his post-match interview, and I think even Novak answered it so well in a sense that at the stage of his career, he's not sure, is it better to just keep playing and keep dialed in, or is it better to keep his body fresh? Because he certainly didn't play his best tennis against Musetti, and it pens the question, is it perhaps better just to keep dialed in and keep in that zone than, having too many days off? So I don't really know. Novak didn't know what the answer is, so I'm actually not sure what the answer is.
So what would they be working on, considering that, would they be working on anything different because of that lack of tennis?
Well, that's the thing. When you get to this stage of the tournament, it's almost too late to start working on anything particular. I think in terms of his game or what he is going to do out there, I think it now becomes about tactically going to the drawing board, Novak really sitting down with his team and really trying to nail a game plan that he has to execute. And then you have to go and do the execution part as well. So I think for Novak, he does have to look after his body still. We know he's got the blister stuff happening as well. And he just has to kind of realise that he's in such a great position now. He knows he was on that plane ready to head home, but he's got another opportunity, and it's almost a bit dangerous for Sinner. I think that Novak's got this extra second win that, who knows, he could throw the kitchen sink at Sinner and nail tactically what he needs to do. And then who knows? I mean, he's a great champion of the game and he loves playing here at Australian Open, so anything can happen.
Does it also, it's a sort of a inverse thinking, but knowing what hasn't worked against Jannik Sinner recently, does that actually sort of narrow the thinking for Novak? Because he knows what doesn't work, so does he get a clearer picture about what might work?
Yeah, look, I think Novak would have a very clear picture of what would work, but it's also the question is, does he have the physical, I guess, stamina and that, he's obviously much older now, to go against Sinner over the length of 5 sets? I think that's the question, because they're very similar in terms of the way they play defence. I mean, Novak and Sinner, in the way that they've been able to move, the way they get to end range, and we've talked about Sinner's incredible balance. He's, second to none. Novak was exactly the same. That's why he's dominated the game for so long. So it's like seeing a younger version of yourself up the other end of the court, moving laterally, chasing balls down, this elite defence that, very few players have had, but Novak's had it and now Sinner's got it.
And wondering deep down whether you've still got it in you to go the distance against that same player.
Yeah.
Just briefly, I want to rewind to the press conference where Novak really bristled at the suggestion that he'd spent the first part of his career chasing Roger and Rafa, and now he's spending the latter part of his career chasing the new big two in Sinner and Alcaraz. He wasn't happy about that.
He wasn't. Would you ask that question?
I would ask it differently. I got the intent of the question, but I would ask it very differently by maybe acknowledging the 15 or so years in between. That might have been handy.
Yeah, look, I don't know who asked that question, but I would suspect had he just thrown in there that he's dominated the game and won 24 majors, it may have shifted the way that the question was potentially perceived, because Novak sat in his chair, folded his arms, and it was a good response and it was a fair enough response. But yes, look, I think he is so well aware of what he has achieved. I mean, Novak has dominated this game, and here in Down Under, 10 Australian Opens is unheard of. So it was a rough question for him to answer, but he's so used to probably dealing with a little bit of that stuff, over the years with so many big champions of our game, whether it be Roger, Rafa, and now Alcaraz and Sinner. There's just big names in the game, and Novak, well, he's won the most slams of all of them.
And I don't think anybody in the room really had a problem with the fact that he asserted himself.
Oh,
I thought
no.
that was absolutely fine.
Absolutely.
Jannik Sinner. So he looked sharp against Shelton, but you think before that he sort of laboured a little bit against, well, certainly in the heat against Baziri, and then at a moment in the third set against Ardiri as well. He looked so sharp, though, against Shelton. Can we say that all those problems that might have been there are gone and he's 100% back?
Yeah, look, I think it kind of comes back to, I guess, the point that I often come back to about having this expectation that these top players particularly are going to play well in every match. They play 7 matches over the length of 5 sets. Are we wanting to see them play their best, or are they wanting to play their best tennis in rounds 2 and 3? No. And I think that's what's making this tournament so exciting, is that the Alcarazes, the Sinners, they're building. Sabalenka's been doing the same on the women's side. We're now seeing, at the moment they've had to play, Alcaraz plays de Minaur, or Sinner's out there playing Shelton. They are so switched on, and we are now seeing the absolute best, and it makes for an exciting semi-final from onwards. I think we're going to see some cracking matches because everyone is really now starting to look sharp, and Sinner absolutely is now one of those players.
Absolutely. He has won his last 5 against Novak. It's 6-4 overall, but the last 5, including 3 Grand Slam finals in that Grand Slam semi-finals in that 5. Where has he got it over Novak at the moment? I mean, have we already answered that in terms of the physicality and the ability to go the distance, or is there something more than that?
Yeah, look, I think that is obviously a part of it. There's no doubt about it. But I think also Sinner's ability to get that early strike in is certainly that aggression, I guess, being up on the baseline against Novak. Getting him on the move early in the point has been key. So, yeah, I think probably just those kind of 2 factors on top of the fact that of what we've just spoken about. But, yeah, aggression, early ball striking, getting Novak on the move, and also just having some age and youth on his side, and he's able to go the distance in Grand Slam tennis over the length of 5 sets. At
this stage of a tournament, is there any weakness in the Sinner game?
Well, if it's hot, maybe.
Yeah.
If it's hot again, potentially, because we could see how much physically he did really struggle in that type of heat. I guess maybe that would be something over the length of 5 sets. How is he going physically? How is his body pulled up from, being tested in a couple of matches, and physically, where is his body at? But I think in terms of his game, Nick, his ball striking, as I said, his aggression. Also, I will just mention he's been so great behind his first serve. And I think that will also be key against Novak. I did leave that out, but I think that will also be very important against Novak, but he's looking pretty good. Okay,
so Sinner to win?
Yeah. Look, I refuse to ever count Novak out because he is one of the best in his to play here, especially on Rod Laver. I do think Sinner will win, but I do think it's going to be tight. I think Novak's going to forget about what's happened and just almost reset for a new match, new tournament, and we could see him coming out firing, but I do think Sinner may get the win.
I hope it's got that epic feel about it. Carlos Alcaraz and Alexander Zverev is the second semi-final. So Alcaraz, the only man left in the draw yet to drop a set. What's the key to that impressive form all the way through? Hasn't been at his absolute best all the way through, but gee, he's been impressive.
Yeah, he's been really impressive. I mean, if you have not watched this guy live, I would suggest you get a ticket and go and sit down, because we watch him through broadcast, or you can maybe watch him through your TV, but when you sit courtside and you're so close to him, his athleticism, his explosiveness, his ability to get to the ball, but then also how he constructs points is absolutely phenomenal. And obviously there was a few question marks with the coaching team change with Juan Carlos Ferrero now not in his team, but I think he's so good. He is so good, Carlos Alcaraz, and off serve he's been fantastic. From the back of the court, unbelievable. Coming forward, he's looked pretty good. It
was amazing to see him against de Minaur the other night when Alex got to the level that Alcaraz was playing at that point, that moment of the match. Alcaraz just went to another level.
He's like, thanks, I'll take that.
Just got all these gears.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like Sinner, is there a weakness there? Like, if you are Zverev, is there anywhere to target?
No, it's pretty tough. Yeah, it's a pretty tough one to call, because even against de Minaur, I think we could see what even Alex was trying to do. Obviously, come forward, finish points early. Anytime Alex got an opportunity to play deep, he was all over the net. But Alcaraz, that forehand is just unbelievable. I mean, look, if you can pepper the backhand side maybe a little bit and open up that forehand side, but he just moves so well. So, look, it's going to be key for Zverev to serve well again. He's obviously got the big ground strokes Zverev, so that could play into his favour in terms of matchups against Alcaraz, having got a bit bigger ground strokes than, say, an Alex de Minaur. But weaknesses, it's hard to find holes in his game, to be honest.
And he's talked about wanting to, look for improvements, and where he's trying to improve is the mental side of the game as well. So he's obviously pretty happy with what's happening on the court, but mentally he's trying to get better.
Well, we've seen Alcaraz over the years come in and out of matches. We know that even early in rounds of slams, there'll be a set here or there, but he hasn't done any of that this AO either.
Yeah. Just a quick one on Alex, and going back to that match, did you see enough to suggest that he's on the right path? I mean, he was, in terms of power, he probably spent some stretches in that match where he matched it. Are you seeing the right thing happening there?
Yes, I'm definitely seeing the right things. I'm seeing the right momentum with Alex. I know he would have been very disappointed with the loss, but there are so many positives. I mean, look at Ben Shelton against Jannik Sinner. He's doing everyone's in exactly the same position, trying to do the same thing, and Alex is certainly right there. Good
to know. Alexander Zverev. I don't know, maybe he's flown under the radar a little bit. What sort of form does he bring into the semi-final?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I feel like there's so many players that fly under the radar purely because of Sinner and Alcaraz. All the talk is around Sinner and Alcaraz. So Zverev should be talked about because he is playing some great tennis. I think this is the best form we're all seeing him in for a very long time, Nick. I think he is serving extremely well. And he's also hitting big ground strokes. So he's being aggressive, and that's the Alex Zverev that we've seen for so long and why we've seen him have so much success. And he's actually had a lot of success against this man in Carlos Alcaraz.
He has. In fact, the head-to-head is a little bit surprising perhaps, but he's the same as Sinner in terms of the amount of wins that he's had. So he's 6-6. Why is that? What is the edge there? Well, it's not an edge, but he can match him seemingly.
Yeah, and it's the big hitting of Zverev. He's able to get that first strike in earlier than probably most players, whether that's off his serve. He has to serve well, Zverev, but he's also he's got that ability to play big. And I think it just takes time away from Alcaraz, particularly on a hard court, where it's a bit livelier in these these livelier conditions than, say, maybe a clay court or a slower clay court. It just allows Zverev to be able to, get that big ball strike in and use his forehand to rush Alcaraz a little bit more. But, the head-to-head's interesting.
That in itself sort of makes it a fascinating matchup. There's so much to look forward to with these two matches. Who wins this one?
I think Carlos still wins. You can't kind of go past what Carlos has shown us here down under. I think he's in great form. I think he's just doing this as well, building. And I think against Zverev, he'll raise it even more of a notch than he did against Alex de Minaur.
Today, awesome day. Looking forward to it. A couple of great days to come across the weekend as well. Case, thanks very much.
Can't wait. Thanks, Nick.
Looking forward to it. Thank you very much for your company on today's edition of The Morning Serve.
WWOS Sports is your home of the Australian Open. From highlights of the best players, every magic Aussie moment, and the best expert analysis.
We'll have every nail-biting, heartwarming and edge-of-your-seat point covered. Subscribing to Wide World of Sports on YouTube is a must for any tennis fan.